Welcome back everyone, Zaf here. In this video, let's go ahead and cover artifacts since that's a very important topic. And also, real quick, we just hit the 40,000 subscriber milestone. In just 1 week, we gained over 10,000 subs. So a huge thanks to everyone. I do really appreciate it. So I want to do a giveaway for hitting that huge milestone. I'll have a few giveaways coming out, so do stay tuned. For this video's giveaway, we have $100 up for grabs to either the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. And if those don't work for you, we can just do the amount sent to you directly. All you have to do is comment down below on this video to enter, and also be subscribed to our channel for updates. And make sure you like the video as well to show your support. And also, don't forget to support us on Netmarbles creator page. We have 1,310 supporters so far, and we're number 6 on the creator rankings. This is how the viewers get some free rewards, and the creators get some as well to give out to their audience, so please do support us. The link will be down below. So thank you everyone for the support. This is our top 10 ranking. So again, thank you everyone for supporting our channel. We're going to swap between 2 screens. This screen will have our tier list just to make viewing things much easier for you. And we are going to start things off with our very first set. It is probably one of the best sets in the game. We have the arm set, which is something I'm sure many of you are already using. If we swap over to the artifact screen, you can see the 2 set effect is already very good, providing us 5% attack. And as you know, for our stats of Jinwoo, we already go ahead and focus strength, which does provide us more attack, since almost everything Jinwoo has does scale off attack, so it's very important to get that figure up. And going back to the 4 set effect, when attacking, the user ignores 15% of the target's defense. This is so vital to doing tons of damage. In events like the Battlefield of Time, we put on hunters specifically for that ability, so having on your armor is obviously a huge plus. Having a bunch of attack won't provide any benefit unless you go ahead and shred the enemy's defense. That's why the set is so good. And another solid set you should be considering, it provides the toughness set effect. When you put on the 2 set effect, you get a crit rate increase by 8%, which is quite high honestly, and also the 4 set effect, providing us a 32% increase to our crit damage. This alone makes the set so worth it. Crit is basically our main damage source, obviously attack as well, but crit does amplify our attack, which is exactly why we need this set. And don't forget, when it comes to stats, your base stats are limited, so let me just quickly hop into Jinwoo stats. If we press this magnifying button here, and we go to the crit rate found over here, this stat number does not ever go above 50%, for example. The same goes for other stats as well, such as precision, it'll never go above 99%, but with crit I'm using this as an example because it makes the most sense. Let's say this is at 50%, and you go ahead and put on the toughness set. This isn't capped by your actual stat. This is considered a passive, and passives go on top of those amounts, so you don't have to worry if you're capped at the 50% mark. This amount just goes on top of it, which is something you need to remember. So that's why for artifacts you never want to get a bunch of crit that'll put you way above the 50% mark, since then you'll be losing out on some stats, so it's something you always want to consider. And that is exactly why we go with strength and perception on Jinwoo. We don't go with agility. Agility does increase your crit rate, but it's better to just have it from your artifacts and just go the complete strength route. That is the most optimal loadout. So going back to our tier list, based on the information we just stated, this would have to also go in the SS tier. These 2 sets are probably the best in the game for Jinwoo right now, but there's also a few others you need to consider. We have one very interesting set that I'm sure all of you have found a perfect subset artifact for, but then you go ahead and look at the stats, and you realize for Jinwoo, the 4 set effect is just awful. Having an 8% reduction to attack, doing the opposite of what we want. To just have our hunter's attack be increased by 8% is not a benefit, so that's why this set is arguably the worst for Jinwoo. Obviously for hunters, this would actually be a decent set, providing that 8% bonus, so someone like Min could really take advantage of this. It doesn't matter what his attack number is, all that matters is that you're providing 8% to other hunters or Jinwoo. That's what makes a set good, but for someone that isn't Jinwoo. So looking back at our tier list, I would have to put this in our D tier. Although it's good for hunters, it is not good for Jinwoo at all. And on the topic of useless sets, let's go ahead and look at Aquamarine. If we look at the outstanding connection bonus, when tagging out, it increases the user and their team member's attack by 12% for 10 seconds, or 28 for 15 if you have the 4-set effect. And well, with Jinwoo, I'm sure you know, we do not tag him out. He's always the hunter we end up using, so this would only be good for support hunters and not on Jinwoo. So again, someone like Min could use this. You get all debuffs off, then you swap him out, and then you get the bonus to your main DPS hunters. So that's what this is used for. So if we go to our tier list, well, you know exactly where this is going. This is arguably worse than the Holy Set because this provides no benefit at all. Then again, the Holy Set does drop our attack, so let's say this is actually worse since we want the most attack possible on Jinwoo. At least with the outstanding connection set, you don't lose attack, so it does deal more damage technically. Now for the next artifact set I want to review, we have the Solid Analysis set. This one isn't terrible, but it also isn't great. That's why I'm going to put it into B tier, and if we jump to our game screen, I'll show you why. The 2-set effect provides a damage boost to users that are in the break state, which isn't bad of course, though there are definitely better options we can use. You aren't always going to face enemies that do have the break counter, and with most enemies their break dodges do refresh, so that's why this effect isn't always in play. But the 4-set effect is honestly quite strong. When attacking enemies that have elemental weakness, the break effect increases by 30%. So a very nice buff, you do get break off much easier this way, but again, not the best set possible. It is situational, it does have its use cases, but right now for Jinwoo, we do have much better options. Now on the note of better options, we do have the one-hit kill set. I would have to say this can fluctuate between the SS tier and also the S tier. I am going to put it here. It is actually probably one of my favorite set effects. You can do a lot with it, so jumping into the main screen, we can see what it provides. The 2-set effect increases ultimate skill damage by 25%, a very nice buff, and it also decreases the ultimate skill cooldown by 40%. That is honestly very, very good. You do have to get your ultimate charged up, of course, but once that does happen, the damage you put out is going to be so much higher. This set is perfect for just one-shotting those bosses, especially when you need to do a speedrun. That is exactly what it's for, and it can be paired with a hunter that does have the power gauge increase artifact set, making having both sets a very nice plus depending on what you're doing in game. So again, this isn't a bad set, you'll have a solid damage output, and I'll quickly jump to the set I just mentioned. It is the Destroyer set. It increases the power gauge acquisition rate by 20%, and if you have the 4-set effect, when the battle starts, charges a user's power gauge by 50%, and also has another 20% increase to the power gauge acquisition. So it is a very, very powerful set, and just so you note, you can only have one of these set effects applied to your team, so you can't have multiple of these equipped, having your ultimate right when you start, and also the one-hit kill. Could you imagine how lethal that combo would be? But anyways, that's what makes the set pretty good. Not so much on Jinwoo, but when you have it on your hunters, it'll be a very nice benefit. But with that said, jumping back to our tier list in just a second, there we go. Our Destroyer set will find itself in the A tier. Not the best option, but certainly one we can use. It does provide a decent benefit. Imagine you're doing some sort of run where having your ultimate up as soon as possible will provide the best benefit. So for speedrunning, this will be perfect. It's something we can actually make use of. This set right here, well, it's not exactly something we can fully utilize. Let's jump into the set effects. So the 2-set bonus provides a shield effect increase by 30%. Jinwoo really doesn't use shields that often. We have Jiwoo, they provide a shield. We have some weapons that provide shields, and some skills as well, but shields aren't really meta right now. Maybe in the future we'll need a bunch of shields to survive hits for whatever reason, but as it stands right now, this is not something we need. The 4-set effect is interesting though. When a team member, including a user, activates a shield, it increases their individual damage dealt by 10%, so it isn't fully useless. This wouldn't be too hard to get off. The 10% buff will basically always be activated if you run a shield build, but again, there's much better options out there. This is not one you want to go for. And next up, we have the Concentration of Firepower set. This one will just go into our C tier. the set does increase how much mana we spend by 20%, but it also increases our damage dealt by 5%, and our basic skills get decreased by 5% as well. So not a terrible 2-set effect. The 4-set effect is decent as well, where the damage increase is changed to 18%, and it also reduces the cooldown of basic skills by 18%, so not too bad, but this is better suited on hunters. On Jinwoo, the benefit is going to be pretty low. There are much better options, which we're just about to cover. Now, the beast set in my opinion is absolutely crazy. The expert effect is so overpowered, especially in long battles. If you're in a short battle, it's not going to be good at all because it has a 1-second cooldown to the effect. Basically, when landing a crit attack, the user has a 25% chance to increase their attack by 0.8%, stacking up to 100 times, so 80% in total. You would need the battle to go on for at least 100 seconds to potentially get the cap amount. So if the battle is shorter, then the expert set is then your best pick. And if we look at the 4-set effect, the activation rate is at 50%, which is fantastic, and the attack increase is 1.6%, so double, to a 160% cap. This alone will provide you such a nice damage increase. It'll make those long, drawn-out boss battles a breeze, or at least make them a little bit faster. So this, in my opinion, is one of the best sets we have, but again, it is situational. It does have to be a longer battle. If it's a short one, it isn't going to be the best, but the expert set will find itself in our SS tier, just because it's so good regardless. And speaking of being good regardless, we have the Berserker set, again another SS artifact. If you look at its effect, when the user has 50% HP or less, their damage dealt increases by 15%. The more realistic option is the 4-set effect. When you find yourself at 70% HP or less, you get a 30% damage bonus, which is quite strong. You do have to take a hit in. Think of the many bosses we face, just dive and take a hit. That'll make the effect proc, and you'll be enjoying the 30% increase. I feel like our top tier artifacts, when it comes to the jewelry sets, they're all fairly similar. The next one we have is the Executioner effect. If we look at the 2-set effect, when attacking enemies of 40% or less HP, our damage is increased by 8%, and with the 4-set effect, it changes to 70%, and the effect increases to 20%. So there is a trade-off. Do you want the enemy's HP to drop down to 70% and get a 20% bonus, or do you just want to rush in, have your HP drop to 70%, and then deal 30% more damage? Obviously, it's a trade-off. Which one do you think you can do faster, and which one will provide the most benefit? I still feel like Berserker is better, so I am going to keep that out of this set here. Executioner isn't bad, but Berserker certainly is a bit better. That's why we're going to put it behind, but it still finds itself in our SS tier. That's just because the effects are very similar. It's just about timing. Otherwise, they're basically the same effect. And the next set we're going to look at is the Dragonite set. The bonus it provides is called Solid Foundation, and honestly speaking, it isn't that solid. I'm going to put it in our C tier, and I'll explain why. If we look at the 2-set effect, it provides a basic attack damage increase by 18%, and really, we don't use our basic attacks that much, making this set already not that great. And the 4-set effect isn't that much better, increasing the user's core attack damage by 18%, and when an attack does hit, it charges the user's core gauge by 60. If you're not sure what a core attack is, basically when the basic attack button changes, it's like the special attack you have for either your weapon or hunter, so it's after you spam all those basic attacks, the main attack will change. That's what the core attack is talking about, and that is what it boosts. So essentially not a boost we really need. There are much better options which we have outlined. And last but not certainly least, we have our final set here, and can you guess where it's going to land? Not in our D tier, and of course not in our C tier. I'm going to put it on A tier and I'll explain why. It's obviously not the best accessory set effect, but it isn't too bad. It provides a 5% attack bonus for 4 seconds when you land a crit. The cooldown is 1 second, so you can get it off very easily. And with the 4-set effect, it changes the max stack to 4. So basically, you can get this to 20%, which is honestly not bad. A 20% attack increase, and it's fairly easy to proc. So it's one of those sets that's not bad. It doesn't have a crazy effect, but I would say it's in that middle ground. That is exactly why I want to put it at the top of our A tier. It has its uses all the time. It never is a conditional effect. You just need to land a crit and you'll have the effect proccing off. So yeah, this is our final tier list. I would say this is encompassing of the game so far. Obviously, these sets here are probably your best bets. You can't go wrong with any of them. And these down below, well, they're probably better suited for hunters and not Jinwoo. Jinwoo does have a specific set of parameters for the maximum bonus he can get. So crit, attack, crit damage, that's what you want to go for, or ultimate damage of course. So going with shields or HP, that's not exactly what you want. So I hope you enjoyed this artifact tier list, that being for Jinwoo. If you enjoyed, drop your like, subscribe to our channel as well if you want more content like this, and please don't forget to support us. Netmarble's creator program is perfect, that way Netmarble will notice us, and we'll get a bunch of free rewards to give out to the viewers. So that was everything I had for you today. This is Zaf signing out.